We are now live streaming. How are you? We are live streaming. So
Ed,
Oh, he's up front?
get too close. One thing I never asked you, that's
Yes. Yep, perfect, yeah.
we were able to, we were able to reconcile it, and now, yeah, I mean, we cleaned up a few of them this year. That had some left over, so.
They used to. Developer has to.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Mine I don't think goes
Yes,
back.
we-
Unless I just- I just never said part.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the work session of the Lancaster Town Board. Tonight, we're going to have our audit report from Charles from Dreschler Malecki. So whenever you're ready to go, Charles, come up to the podium and have at it.
how many?
Thank you.
Amanda. Thank you.
Oh, I always love the visual, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so thanks for having me. As Supervisor mentioned, my name is Charles Trottier. I'm the director with Dreschler Malecki. We are hired by the town to give an independent audit opinion on your financial statements. We are your external auditors. And so yeah, our job is really just do some tests, look at your trial balances, your general ledger, look at your account balances and make sure that the numbers that are reported in there that make up your financial statements are free from any material misstatements, and those numbers can be relied on by banks, credit agencies, residents, any users of your financial information. So in front of you, we'll go through a presentation, but you also have the issued financial statements. They were issued on June 27th to meet some reporting or debt requirement deadlines on June 30th. And so we're going to go through the presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions afterwards, or again, I'm available throughout the year. My information will be at the back. So just going through the presentation itself. Page 1, what you are receiving as a result of an external audit. The first one is the basic financial statement themselves.
Are these extras, these two? This might be extras, I already have one.
So just going through the presentation, page 1, the products of our audit. So you're getting the financial statement themselves. In the financial statements, there's 3 opinions that belong to us. Everything else that's in this 100-page document, front and back, is just all numbers that's sourced from your system and any sort of disclosures that explains what the numbers means. But in the front is an opinion that's on our letterhead, and it says that your financial statements are free of material misstatement and they can be relied on. And so we're moving forward with an unmodified opinion. So based on our results of audit tests, some detailed tests, some analytical tests, control testing, inquiries management, all the above, we believe your financial statements are free of misstatement and they can be relied on. So that's the first opinion. Then we go through your numbers, we go through your footnote disclosures, and in the back of the financial statements, there's two more opinions that belong to us. The first one says that we've reviewed your internal controls, and if there were to be any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses in your internal controls, meaning your policies, procedures, your processes, the way you collect cash, the way you make payments, the way you record journal entries, the way you reconcile your banks, we look at all that kind of stuff, and if there were to be any issues, we'd report them there. This year's strong improvement from last year's material weakness that was disclosed on general ledger not being maintained to its fullest capacity in the past, leading to significant journal entries. This year, that comment has been removed. I think there were only about 3 or 4 journal entries this year, which we anticipate every year. And so there are no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies in your internal control, so clean audit there too. The very last opinion is on your federal spending. So as an entity that receives over $750,000 in federal grants, you are subject to a single audit. We essentially become agents of the federal government. We put our federal cap on, and we make sure that the spending of federal funds were spent in accordance with the compliance that is set forth by the United States Office of Management and Budget. And the programs that we tested this year, 2 programs, we tested ARPA funds with the Pandemic Relief Aid, and we tested the Public Safety Partnership Community Grants for the some equipment and evidence storage units there. And so all the costs that were spent were done in accordance with the compliance. We test 25 items, and all the 25 items that tested met the requirements by the federal government. So clean audits all around. The management letter is a best practice communication. We've issued it in the past to report on some best practices. We did get a chance to meet with management before, and we talked about some minor items that I'll talk about at the very end, but at this point, we do not believe a management letter is necessary this year. Everything that was proposed in the past has been corrected for this year, and so we're going to give it a go. We're going to communicate some minor matters this year, see if they're fixed next year, and then we'll go at it that way. So based on past practices, what was reported last year has been corrected. Auditor communications, those are just the required disclosures that we have to have with your group. I'll go over it on the next slide. More detail. And then departmental report, we also get to audit the town clerk, tax receiver, justice departments, and other senior center youth departments at the town Lancaster. We test those departments based on the cash basis, money's in, money's out, to test on some of the programs. And we're also moving forward with a clean audit on the departments. Some small items in remitting cash in a more timely manner is something that we always recommend, but it's something we see across the state as well for departments. So on the next slide, the required communication, what our responsibility is, it's really to give you that independent opinion. We can't test every single transaction. We'd be here all year. So we use what's called a reasonable assurance rather than absolute assurance. We'll look at the overall population. We'll assess some risk based on what we deem is of higher significance, and then we'll test samples of transaction, and then we extrapolate to make sure that that particular account balance is free of misstatement. What I like to say there too is our responsibility is not to detect fraud. We do have tests in place that we believe would find fraud if fraud were to exist at a pretty prevalent level. We did not find fraud, but it's always a disclosure or disclaimer that it's not our sole responsibility there. Significant accounting policies. If there were to be anything significantly different from the way these financials look now compared to how they've looked in the past, we'd have to disclose it. This year there was a new GASB that was implemented, but it didn't alter too much of how your financial statements do look. There is a small restatement in fund balance. It doesn't affect your ending fund balance level. It doesn't affect the way you budget for it. But GASB 101, compensated absences, did it look back on how those sick time and vacation time numbers need to be accounted for. So we worked with finance to make sure that that was implemented properly. And it was, and it resulted in a small restatement, which is what we're seeing across the state. Nothing to be alarmed there. Significant accounting estimates, the same as last year. Your pension liability for ERS, PFRS, Employee Retirement System, and Police and Fire. Your length of service awards program liability, compensated absences, your allowances for receivable, other post-employment benefits, all these long-term liabilities, and I'm saying a lot of words. If I'm going too fast, I can slow down. They don't affect your fund statements, your fund balance. They affect kind of that long-term view, so I don't want to dwell too much on them. But those are significant estimates. We have to disclose them. A 1% discount rate can change that liability by $1 million plus. So it's just the variability in those numbers require us to disclose them, but they don't alter your budget or your pay-as-you-go or your fund balance at the end of the day. Independence, I have to communicate it with you, and it's the only way that I can stand up here and tell you that you have clean financial statements is that we are unbiased. We don't have any independence issues with the town of Lancaster, myself, Amy, who's the manager on the engagement, or anyone else in our firm. We're free of, we're independent with the town of Lancaster. Other matters, if there were to be any disagreements, if our scope would be limited, if we asked to look at one transaction, we were told to look at another one instead, we'd have to disclose it in that particular section. Full scope audit, what we asked for, we received from all 6 departments that we tested, from finance and from other departments in the town. So clean audit all around. Going into some more interesting numbers as opposed to some qualitative aspects of the audit. We always do a 5-year look back where we look at your revenues and expenditures. I can certainly give you those numbers at a later time, but we like to show this picture just as a big high-level view of how you fared over the last 5 years. So this first chart looks at all your government, general fund, your highway, capital projects, other items, other funds, fire protection, and it looks at total revenue versus total expenditures. And as you can see, it paints a pretty good picture of what happened during the pandemic, where 2020, the pandemic was declared, costs went down, we didn't know what was going to happen, we were told sales tax was going to drop 20%, CHIPS aid was going to be withheld, so actions had to be taken, so your expenditures went down a little bit, and what happened is that sales tax continued to outpace far the expectations of what was originally set forth. State aid continued to come in, mortgage tax went up higher, and obviously sales tax and the pandemic relief aid and your state and federal aid went up. So revenues continue to go up, expenditures are now catching up. Now 4 years later, at the end of 12/31/2024, perfect line where your revenues are meeting your total expenditures, which is what anyone wants to see, that you're raising just enough revenue to meet the services that you're offering. The general fund on the next slide, total revenues at the far right, your blue line was $13.6 million. Total expenditures were $12.3 million. That's an increase of $1.3 million from the prior year. Total fund balance in the general fund is about $7.7 million. $4 million of that is considered unassigned, so available for use. That represents just about 30% of your spending. So 30% is pretty reasonable with what we're seeing across municipalities. It represents about 3 months worth of spending. So in the case of an emergency, if 1 month now there's an emergency and it's 3 months worth of spending, now you have that money on hand instead of having to go out and issue debt for it and charge residents on it. So you're at a good place financially at $4 million of unassigned fund balance. The remainder of your fund balance is in non-spendable. What's prepaid already, you can't touch it. You have $460 that's restricted for debt purposes, and you have $2.8 million that's assigned either in your budget or capital improvements. Your major change in revenues were interest earnings. So again, interest over the last 2 years have been pretty positive across the country, and so you're maximizing on that. So interest went up $100,000, and grants from local governments, Erie County, the Opera House grant, caused revenues to go up, but it also caused your expenditures to go up. So on your expenditure side, those increased just $100,000 from the prior year, mainly due to some health retirement costs and some health insurance costs, retirement costs across the state for all your municipalities. Although we believe that the market is good, the state continually increases those rates. Not just because the market's good, but they just anticipate that the market's going to be bad in 2 years. So they're always increasing the rates when we think they should go down. That's how it always worked. Police fund on the next slide. Your total revenues was $13.5 million, $100,000 less than the prior year. Your total spending was $13.2 million, which was $600,000 increase from the prior year. So your net change in fund balance in the police fund is $300,000. The bulk of that, again, interest earnings went up $100,000, maximizing some revenues there. And then your state and federal aid went up $250,000 combined. That was grants that were reimbursable. So again, your expenditures went up for state and federal grants related, $280,000. And then the net difference with your increase in the police fund is really those benefit costs again. Police and fire retirement system went up dramatically in the retirement contribution. Hopefully those are going to come down, especially at a time when the market is good, but certainly something to follow up on. And of course, the police fund is heavily dependent on the sales tax agreement with the village, funding about half of that budget. So it's certainly something that we continually recommend to keep an eye on as far as long-term planning. Total fund balance in the police fund is $6.4 million. $4.5 million of that is assigned for specific use, which again represents 33% of your spending. So again, not too high, not too low, you're right where you want to be. And then the last fund is the highway fund, transportation fund. Over the last few years across the state, again, we do have the opportunity to audit a number of municipalities, towns, cities, counties, villages, all of the above. And these transportation fund have been pretty heavily dependent on kind of an energy cost. So what we've seen is increased kind of transfers from the general fund to help some of these funds operate. It hasn't been necessary at this point, but when we look at this picture here, we see your expenditures went up to $5.5 million, so almost $800,000 more than the prior year, and your revenues were 4.7. So in this case, you used about $770,000 of fund balance in that fund. Again, half of that is equipment related, one-time cost. We anticipate this every 2 to 3 years. There's going to be a rotation of equipment. It's expected. But on top of that, $150,000 of the increase was employee benefits, again, for retirement costs. So when we look in the future, we want to make sure that we're able to generate the revenues to meet those expenditures. Total fund balance is $1.5 million in the highway fund. $800,000 is available for use. That's about 14% of your spending, just under 2 months. So again, if there's one that we want to keep an eye on at this point, it's this one. But again, it's just those heavy equipment needs did just happen in the prior year. So I tried to go through it pretty quickly. That's all the presentation. You do have financial statements in front of you. I'm happy to answer any questions now or at a later point. But a clean audit all around. Certainly was a pleasure to work with the new finance director this year. A lot of improvements from the past.
Thank you very much. Does the board have any questions?
No?
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we're going to have our Director of Administration and Finance, or you can speak right from there because you have a microphone.
Sure, yeah. Good evening. It's good to be back after a couple months away, celebrating the birth of my daughter. Thank you for everyone for being supportive and flexible with me. Good news to kick things off, a clean audit, something that we should all feel really good about. It shows that the hard work that we put into keeping our finances straight and transparent is true. Last year's audit, conducted under the previous administration, had some findings that highlighted areas needing improvement. Our current administration is committed to being responsible stewards of taxpayer dollars, and the Clean 2024 audit proves that we're delivering on that promise, and it's a clear step forward for our town. So let's keep the momentum going this year and continue making our community stronger. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to go around the room to our department heads and see how many people we can talk to in about 10, 15 minutes. Diane, you have anything for us?
Not really. We're just closed out today. We just closed out the town and county tax collection, and everything went well. We're to the penny, so we're all good. Thank you.
Ed?
Just real quick, we received the bids for the partition wall at the senior center. That's awards being prepared. We received all the bids for the Opera House. Actually came in less, so we're looking to do a little bit more work with the money that we're being given. Working that out with the state. Police training facility, continuing with the concept planning. Siebert Road, we have a discussion this week with the departments to figure out what it needs to get that thing moving forward. And Warner Road, I expect to have bids on the street within about 3 weeks.
Okay, thank you. Siebert Road, get lots of calls on it as to what's going on there. It's sitting with the Army Corps of Engineers. We've set up a meeting with them and our state representatives on Thursday morning. And we're going to keep pushing this till it gets done. So, get it off of somebody's desk and make sure it gets completed. So that's where we stand with that. Chief? Did we have any presentation? Hang on one second. Oh, okay. All right. Go ahead, sir.
Good evening. So I'll start with the monthly dog report for dog control for the month of June. As Mike told me this morning, they've been quite busy, but it's kind of hit or miss with how many dogs they actually have in the pound. Currently, there are none as of this morning. They answered 27 complaints and issued 20 compliance notices last month. One appearance ticket issued. They followed up on 28 expired licenses. They handled 4 dog bite reports and 2 dangerous dog complaints. Also, they had 6 dogs that were redeemed to them. On the police side, tonight's a very big night for the police department. Just shy of 22 years ago, I remember the night I got appointed. It was a big deal in my life, and 22 years later, I am fortunate and blessed to be leading this department. I'm very grateful for it. Tonight we have 3 resolutions bringing forward 3 new individuals that I think are top-notch individuals that we're seeking approval from the board and having them appointed. The academy starts in just under a month, so we're looking forward to getting everything rolling with these individuals and getting their process started. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. John Pilato?
How you doing, everyone?
Good.
Good. So, as we spoke about today at the department head meeting, we're slammed busy. We've completed 2 rounds of paving. I'd really like to give a shout out to my crews and the crews from the village and Depew for working in this extreme heat. I mean, they killed it, but it was brutal out. They just did an awesome job. Highway Rehab Group completed the recycling at Westwood Park. Did you see it, Bob?
Yes, I've driven through there. It looks good.
Yeah, it came out fantastic. We're going to be topping it ourselves probably in August. It's probably going to take us at least a week to do. It's going to be a big project, but the longer we let it sit, the better the base is going to be. So right now we got guys, we're going to be milling Meadow Lee, Donnelly, and Belmont in 2 weeks. We got Lake Avenue going on the 14th. Fortin Drive is going right after that. That's with Soup Coat. Michelle, when are we doing Belmont? What week? Milling, yeah, we're milling it Monday. When's it on the schedule for paving? Thursday of next week. So we're just slam busy, Bob. We're busy. But, props to all the guys. Thanks for all the other municipalities for their help, and that's all I got.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Ron Rosler?
Good.
Good? I can't see anybody else back there as far as department heads go. Okay. Anybody I'm missing back there? No?
Not that I can see.
Okay. All right, I just want to take a minute and recognize Nick Swanson for the tremendous job that he did as our Director of Administration and Finance. We had a bad financial situation when I stepped into office here, and now you can see from the latest audit, we are in very good shape at this point in time. So Nick, congratulations. Thank you for what you do. We're going to take a short recess, and we'll be back here at exactly 7 o'clock to start the regular town board meeting. Thank you.
The live streaming will continue.
What? It's good.
Are you sharing conversation with the other 2 boys? Is there any conversation you want to share with me?
For what? When I was talking to Bob?
Okay. I'm kind of like quasi trying to be
I think I am. Bob was. Yeah, I was looking for Bob.
later in the week. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, no, sounds good. Yeah, let me know next David through It's behind the TV. It's right behind that TV. What? That's the thing right there.
I'm out of here. Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah, sure. We can do it? Yep. Oh, no problem. Hopefully I can bring back some.
You out here?
Yeah.
You're done there. Okay, thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you for that opportunity.
Great.
Diana appreciates it.
Oh, that's good. We changed the police resolution.
Yeah.
Because the numbers. Okay. It's multiplied by a different amount. What was on there showed to make it like 10 grand more.
Oh,
So we got a lot of questions. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can't show hourly numbers.
Sure, sure.
That's why we
Fine.
changed it.
Fine.
It's all, I mean, I'm working 200%. I went to the farm yesterday, worked for a couple hours, then had to leave. I went back for another hour. It's 92 degrees.
This is on the lowest.
Feels good. Did it blow?
She really put the pressure.
How far away was the place? No, how far? Okay. Yeah, we did that last fall, which was up in Niagara Falls. And Harrison, yeah. It wasn't bad.
Yeah.
Had
We tried to
fun.
do all this. Next.
The kids and the grandkids. They're not all purple. Watch my phone. 1 minute. I'm assuming the watches. That's pretty fun.
Just do the best we can. Very good. It's Jennifer.
Yeah, she will be here. As soon as she's done in all driving the speed limit the entire way.
Yeah.
Which one? Cool. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Lancaster Town Board meeting for July 7th, 2025. Diane, roll call, please.
Councilmember Burkhart.
Here.
Councilmember Dickman.
Here.
Councilmember Schroeder.
Here.
Councilmember Studley.
Here.
Supervisor Leary.
Here. Tonight, our pledge and our invocation will be led by Diane Terranova. Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Please remain standing.
Since we just finished with the 4th of July and celebrating our freedom, Thomas Jefferson believed freedom was a fundamental human right, deeply intertwined with self-governance and individual liberty. He famously stated, "I prefer dangerous freedom over peaceful slavery," highlighting his belief that even with potential risks, freedom is essential. He emphasized freedom of thought and expression, particularly freedom of the press, as crucial for a well-informed citizenry capable of self-governance. He also believed that governments should be limited and accountable to the people, and that citizens should be vigilant in protecting their liberties. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, tonight we're going to have 21 pre-filed resolutions. We're going to have one suspended resolution where the town board will vote on accepting the resignation of a police officer. We will have one executive session on personnel matter. We close tonight in memory of Robert Delzer and James Mackin. We have no public hearings. Okay. At this point in time, we're going to have anyone who wants to say anything about the pre-filed or suspended resolution. The town board will hear the concerns of persons desiring to address the town board on any pre-filed or proposed suspended resolution for a total period of 30 minutes. Procedures are raise your hand and be recognized by the supervisor, give your name and address to the town clerk, speak directly to the town board members, not the audience, using the microphone provided. Speak once for 5 minutes or less, unless the town board grants the speaker an extension of this time limit. Any unruly activity, including yelling or name-calling, will result in expulsion from the meeting. Do we have anyone who wants to address the town board on any of the pre-filed resolutions? Please raise your hand. Mr. Soika.
Greg Soika, 19 Spruceland Terrace. Supervisor Leary, could you please explain to me about the item number 7?
Item number 7 is a stipend to be given to the parks, to the maintenance crew chief for the Town of Lancaster Building and Grounds Department, who has been covering the position of the parks crew chief in the Town of Lancaster's Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Department, due to an extended leave of absence of the parks crew chief.
Okay. And who requested the stipend? Mr. Ciccarelli or you?
I thought the stipend was appropriate. I did.
Okay. Have there been other town employees that have been longtime employees of the town that have done extra services? And were they given stipends or raises?
Individuals who have done additional services have gotten stipends over the years.
The deputy highway superintendent, I believe, was helping run the Parks and Recreation for over a year. Did you recommend a stipend or raise for her for that year?
I recommended her for several raises over the time period since when I was a council member.
And Carmen is in charge, is the building crew chief, maintenance and that. Where does he find time and where is the time coming that he is he taking time away from buildings and grounds to take care of Parks and Rec? Or is he working overtime or what?
I'd say it's a combination of everything. He's going and doing a lot of things as quickly as he possibly can. It's not hurting the buildings department because we put a person in there to assist him in that area. We've had a concentration on lights being installed in all the buildings, LED lights to save some money, save some energy for the town. So he's putting in a lot of time on his own, fielding a lot of phone calls, and doing a absolutely terrific job of taking care of both departments.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who wants to address the town board on any of the pre-filed or suspended resolutions? Please raise your hand. Okay, I don't see anybody with their hands up at this point, so we're going to move on. We have no public hearings, so do any of the town board members have any official reports?
Actually, I would like to mention this coming Wednesday at the Oxford Band Shell. We'll be having another one of our Sounds of Summer concert series. This coming Wednesday is Jimmy Buffett.
Okay, I may have pronounced the last name slightly off when I read this on stage.
Yeah.
But again, she was kind enough to point it out at that point as well.
Bob needs phonetics.
In front of about 400 people.
Maybe we're just hungry
Go
when we
ahead.
said buffet,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, Jimmy Buffett is on stage from 6:30 to 8:30, and I hope you'll join us at the band show. Thank you.
Looking forward to being here. Okay. Any other town board members with any official reports?
No.
Okay, or committee report? No, not this time, okay. All right, we're going to move on to our pre-filed resolutions. First resolution is mine. Be it resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting of the town board held June 16th, 2024, 2025. Thanks.
Phonetics.
There's a 7 in there. Be and are hereby affirmed. Do I have a second? Second. On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart.
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman.
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder.
Yes.
Councilmember Studley.
Yes.
Supervisor Leary.
Yes. Resolution number 2. Be resolved that the following audited claims be and are hereby ordered, paid from their respective accounts as per abstract to be filed in the office of the town clerk by the supervisor's office, to wit, check run number 07072025. Total amount hereby authorized to be paid, $2,504,820.38. Do I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart.
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman.
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder.
Yes.
Councilmember Studley.
Yes.
Supervisor Leary.
Yes. Councilmember Dickman, number 3, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Board. I offer Resolution 3 for adoption. Resolved that the following building permit applications be and are hereby reaffirmed. This month, there are 61 in the town, 18 in the village, for a total of 79. Now therefore be it resolved that the building permit applications coded CSW for conditional sidewalk waiver be and are hereby reaffirmed with the waiver of the town ordinance required for sidewalks. However, the waiver is granted upon the express condition that the town of Lancaster, at any future date, reserves the right to order sidewalk installation at the expense of the property owner.
Do we have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder?
Yes.
Councilmember Studley?
Yes.
Supervisor Leary?
Yes. Councilmember Schroeder, number 4, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I move resolution number 4, whereas William Shutt Associates PC, the town of Lancaster's consulting engineer, by email dated June 16, 2025, has requested that the town board authorize an invitation to bid for the Walden Pond Park Athletic Field electrical improvement within the town of Lancaster. And whereas the town board has given due review and consideration to the request for the Walden Pond Park Athletic Field electrical improvement and deems it in the public interest to invite public bids in conformance with General Municipal Law, Section 103 of the State of New York. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Lancaster hereby invites public bids for the Walden Pond Park Athletic Field electrical improvement, with said bids to be in conformance with the plans and specifications which are available for inspection at Avalon Document Services, avalonplanroom.com, and William Shutt Associates at 37 Central Avenue, Lancaster, New York, beginning at 9 a.m. on Wednesday, July 9th, 2025. If bidders wish to purchase printed copies of the contract documents, they must be obtained through Avalon Document Services, and be it further resolved that bids are to be received in the office of the town clerk, 21 Central Avenue, Lancaster, New York, no later than 10 a.m. local time on July 24th, 2025, and open thereafter.
Do we have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder?
Yes.
Councilmember Studley?
Yes.
Supervisor Leary?
Yes. Resolution number 5, whereas Perry Newton, applicant, submitted a special use permit application for Newton's Car Care located at 4270 Walden Avenue in the town of Lancaster, New York, and whereas Chapter 400 zoning, Article 14, Administration and Enforcement, Section 400-78, special use permits of the Code of the Town of Lancaster requires that the town board conduct a public hearing before the issuance of a special use permit for a use as proposed. Now, therefore, be it resolved that pursuant to Section 400-78 of the Code, a public hearing on the proposed special use permit for Newton's Car Care in the town of Lancaster will be held at the Town Hall right here, 21 Central Avenue, Lancaster, New York, on the 21st day of July 2025 at 7:05 p.m. local time, and that notice of said time and place of such hearing be published in the official newspaper of general circulation in said town and be posted on the town bulletin board, and that a copy of such notice of hearing be referred to the Erie County Department of Planning pursuant to Section 239M of the General Municipal Law, which notice shall be in the form attached hereto and made a part hereof. Do I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder?
Yes.
Councilmember Studley?
Yes.
Supervisor Leary?
Yes. Resolution number 6. Whereas in accordance with New York State General Municipal Law, the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster would like to formally adopt an updated procurement policy to establish guidelines that will outline the procedure for the purchase of goods and services within the Town of Lancaster. And whereas the Town Board has given due review in consideration to the adoption of the updated procurement policy and finds it to be in the best interest to adopt said policy. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster hereby adopts the updated procurement policy effective immediately. Do I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder?
Yes.
Councilmember Studley?
Yes.
Supervisor Leary?
Yes. Resolution number 7. Whereas Carmen Ciccarelli, Maintenance Crew Chief for the Town of Lancaster Building and Grounds Department, has been covering the position of Parks Crew Chief in the Town of Lancaster Parks Recreation and Forestry Department due to an extended leave of absence of the Park Crew Chief, and whereas an annual stipend of $5,000 will be paid in 26 equal payments for the year 2025, retroactive to January 1, 2025, for work performed by Carmen Ciccarelli in the Parks Recreation and Forestry Department. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Carmen Ciccarelli will receive a $5,000 annual stipend for the year 2025, paid in 26 equal payments, retroactive to January 1, 2025. Be it further resolved that the supervisor of the town of Lancaster shall be authorized to take all necessary action to implement the foregoing. Do I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart.
I just want to state that I understand the request for the stipend. However, the timing of it, we're going to have 4 contracts. One is actually under negotiations, and I don't believe the stipend should be given out to anyone at this moment with those contract negotiations. So I'm going to vote no.
Councilmember Dickman.
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder.
Yes.
Councilmember Studley.
I also am going to vote no. It's not because I don't believe that he has been doing a fantastic job. It is because of the timing. I wish we could have waited until the coverage of this position was done, and we could have done this as a thank you, like you've done a lot for us over the past 6 months, 8 months, however long this is going to be, and then it could have been a unanimous decision because of the timing. So it's no.
Supervisor Leary.
I'm voting yes. Carmen has done a terrific job in handling both of these positions. The reality of the situation is way back when our our Parks crew chief is out on leave, went out on leave, I was approached specifically by the union who asked me to put Carmen in charge of this because things were getting a little bit out of control. So Carmen stepped up to the plate, and he did the right thing, and he definitely deserves the stipend of $5,000. He probably deserves twice that much, but we're going for $5,000. My answer is yes. My vote is yes. Thank you. Okay, resolution number 8. Whereas Benderson Development Company, LLC, applied on behalf of Chipotle Restaurant for the proposed demolition of the existing structure and construction of a 2,325 square foot restaurant with a drive-up pickup window and outdoor patio on a 1.67 acre site located at 6727 Transit Road in the town of Lancaster, as prepared by Carmino Wood Design, containing a site plan with different site plan numbers and surveys, dated the last 5/7/2025 and received by the town of Lancaster Building Department on 6/4/25. And whereas the town, acting as lead agency, duly considered the request for the project, including the recommendation of the town of Lancaster Planning Board in conformance with SEQR, State Environmental Quality Review Regulations, and on May 19th, 2025, the town board issued a negative declaration. And whereas the planning board recommended to the town board on June 18, 2025, the approval of the site plan is submitted and in conformance with the town building and zoning codes, and that the town board will approve the site plan with the following conditions. 1, there be an issuance of private improvement permits, and 2, as-built survey is required. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Lancaster hereby approves the site plan submitted by Benderson Development Company for Chipotle Restaurant located at 6727 Transit Road, as prepared by Carmino Wood Design, obtaining the sheets listed previously on this resolution. Do I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart.
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman.
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder.
Yes.
Councilmember Studley.
Yes.
Supervisor Leary.
Yes. Councilmember Dickman, resolution number 9, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I offer Resolution 9. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Lancaster does hereby grant a special use permit to Chipotle Restaurant to operate a restaurant with outdoor seating and a drive-up pickup only window on the premise located at 6727 Transit Road in the town of Lancaster upon the conditions set forth in the zoning ordinance for the period beginning July 8th, 2025 and ending July 7th, 2027, and that the applicant will continue in compliance with conditions set forth in general commercial districts, supplementary regulations, GC district, and special use permits of the code of the town of Lancaster, and to any additional conditions listed herein, as long as the applicant continues to engage in the occupation listed on the premise, namely, and that the permit will be renewed every 2 years with a fee schedule. The applicant will provide a copy of the business of New York State federal tax ID numbers, and that no amplified sound is to be transmitted outside of the dining area.
Do we have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart.
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman.
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder.
Yes.
Councilmember Studley.
Yes.
Supervisor Leary.
Yes. Resolution number 10, whereas Jayesh Patel, 6647 Transit Road, LLC. Applicant submitted an application for Spring Hill Suites for the proposed additional asphalt pavement for parking spaces and access drive at the rear of property and curb cut connection to Freeman Road on an approximately 3.8 acre site located at 6647 Transit Road in the town of Lancaster, is prepared by Greenman Peterson Incorporated, containing a site plan including drawing sheets of numbers received by the town of Lancaster on May 20th, 2025. And whereas the town acting as lead agency duly considered the request for the project, including the recommendation of the town of Lancaster Planning Board in conformance with seeker regulations, and on March 17th, 2025, the town board issued a negative declaration. And whereas the planning board recommended to the town board on June 4th, 2025, the approval of the site plan is submitted and in conformance with the town building and zoning codes, and that the town board will approve the site plan with the following conditions. Issuance of private improvement permits, as-built survey will be provided. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Lancaster hereby approves the site plan submitted by Jayesh Patel, the applicant for 6647 Transit Road, prepared by Greenman Peterson Incorporated, containing the sheets listed previously in this resolution. Do I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder?
Yes.
Councilmember Studley?
Yes.
Supervisor Leary?
Yes. Councilmember Burkhart, number 11, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Board. I'm offering Resolution 11 for adoption. Whereas Eric Thoman Asphalt Paving Corporation, Gunville Road, Lancaster, New York, has applied to the town board of the town of Lancaster for a permit for private improvements upon real property in the town of Lancaster within 70 Gunville Road. And whereas the town engineer of the town of Lancaster has certified on the following permit application that he has reviewed the improvement plans and permit application for installation of the private improvements requested, and that they conform to the ordinances of the town of Lancaster. Now therefore be it resolved that private improvement permit application number 867 for 70 Gunville Road, which is a permit for private improvements for site preparation for a building pad at 70 Gunville Road, size 65 by 80, which includes new subbase and asphalt pavement, new pavement will sheet drain outside of the building, which will be open-ended on the east and west sides.
Do we have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder?
Yes.
Councilmember Studley?
Yes.
Supervisor Leary?
Yes. Councilmember Schroeder, numbers 12 and 13, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I move resolution number 12. Whereas the town of Lancaster would like to formally adopt a field use policy to ensure proper use and control of the town of Lancaster athletic fields, and whereas the town board has given due review and consideration to the adoption of the field use policy and finds it to be in the best interest to adopt said policy, now therefore be it resolved, the town board of the town of Lancaster hereby adopts the field use policy effective immediately, and be it further resolved that the field use policy will be provided to all parties that desire to use the fields, and that each party will be required to sign a receipt of said policy.
Do we have a second?
Second.
On the question?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
on this. Perfect timing, Jennifer. Welcome to our town attorney, in case anybody's wondering, he walked in. I'm wondering for number 8 on this policy, it says, "Game shall take preference over practice." I'm wondering if we can either reword that or take that off. My thought is that practices are very important, and it's the foundations that get you to the games. Like, and if you have to cancel practices, you're not going to perform as well during the games. So I don't
The input for
agree.
the development of this form was provided by Bob Giroux, who has been working for our recreation department for decades, and also has been scheduling fields for decades. This was just a formal request. This policy, in essence, has been followed unwritten for years. Now we wanted to put it into writing because, as we have a new attorney, she's bringing to our attention, there's a lot of things that have just been done by a handshake that maybe we want to put on paper. So again, that input came from Bob Giroux, who has the experience of scheduling these fields and why the fields are scheduled as such. So that's why we followed his direction, because he's in the field actually doing it for decades.
That, I understand that, and I understand that he's doing this, but if he's already scheduling things such as that, does it actually need to be stated in here that games take preference? So if you're saying that, last minute, my team decides to schedule a game for tomorrow, we have to cancel some other team's practice, like, that's kind of how I read it, as somebody else can come in
No,
and
it's
say,
First come, first serve.
That-
If they come in at the same time,
Everything's scheduled very early before the season even starts.
yes.
can we add that caveat then, or something, that it's not, that it's last minute games
You
aren't
can
taking?
table it tonight and we can rewrite the whole thing if that's what the entire board.
I mean, I want other people's opinion, I'm just one person
Well-
here,
You
so.
guys like the table?
Practice is practice. Again, this is scheduled so far in advance right now that games stand precedent. If we had unlimited fields, okay, where we didn't have to make a decision like that, but if you're scheduling a couple of months out to what's going on, it's not like somebody's going to do that. They're not going to, tomorrow, we're going to schedule a game where you had a practice. It's already all taken care of. So we don't really need to do that. So it's better to have, in my opinion, to have things in writing that everybody can follow, so there is no, gray area at all. It's black and white as to how it should be.
I'm just asking then for it to just add in the words, like, pre-scheduled games take preference over practice. That's kind of, I think, as long as it's pre-scheduled, that's fine, but if we're talking, because the way I read it, it also reads as if I can decide to try to schedule a game next week, and I could call Bob and say, hey, Bob, games take preference over practice. It says it right here in the field use policy.
I have no
So,
problem putting a PRE in front of that.
okay.
Sure.
Okay.
That's great.
I'm not trying to be combative, I just want to make sure, I'm a very black and white person when I read things, and I can see where there's some gray space there, that somebody could use that against Bob at some point, and I don't want him to have to,
Sure.
So that was at number 8, you said?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. We just had the word
Good
free.
change.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Anything else? No? On the roll.
Give me a second.
Yeah, we do have a second. Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder?
Yes.
Councilmember Studley?
Yes.
Supervisor Leary?
Yes.
And thank you again. I move resolution number 13, whereas the town of Lancaster would like to formally adopt an employee waiver and release of liability policy for employees that choose to participate in town-sanctioned events where participation is voluntary and at the employee's own risk. And whereas such policy will protect the town of Lancaster from any and all liability in the event of injury or loss that may be sustained by an employee while attending the event, and whereas the town board has given due review and consideration to the adoption of the employee waiver and release of liability policy and finds it to be in the best interest to adopt said policy, now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Lancaster hereby adopts the employee waiver and release of liability policy effective immediately. And be it further resolved that the employee waiver and release of liability policy will be emailed to all department heads and distributed to each employee before participation in a town-sanctioned event.
Do we have a second?
Second.
On the question?
I have a comment.
Okay.
If we want our employees, if it's town sanctioned, to represent the town, and they're representing us, and if they did get hurt, representing us at a town event, I would tell everyone, don't come anymore. Any employees for a town sanctioned event, because they're representing us when they're out there. And that's what we want. But if they're helping the town out, representing it, and they get hurt, they don't get anything, nothing. I don't agree with that. Because
It's the
we're
workers'
asking them to
comp.
we're asking them to volunteer for a town event.
I think they'd have their regular health care
Yes.
in there, but they wouldn't get workers' comp for
Yeah.
participating in that.
And this across the board would help lower our workers' comp rates for the entire town insurances by installing this policy in which those savings in workers' comp rates could be used towards raises in our negotiations.
Okay, but my suggestion is nobody volunteers to participate in a town event. It's my opinion. Because why get hurt and you have nothing?
Well, their health insurance is there.
Their health insurance, but they're not going to get paid anything, no comp, anything. So why would you take a risk at a town event if there's nothing to back? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I think it really comes down to the individual. I played soccer, believe it or not, when I worked for the FBI, and there was no workers' comp or anything involved. We did
Was
it.
it
We were
an
representing.
sanctioned event?
It was a club team with the FBI. So it wasn't, the director showed up to one of our games. I mean, again, everybody knew what was going on. But again, there was no workers' comp that came out of it. You did it to stay in shape and, you know, do it for the team. So,
Throwing it out there.
okay, thank you.
And if you find that this policy is stopping people, you can always revoke the policy at a future date.
Sure.
Any other comments? Okay, on the roll. Thank you.
Councilmember Burkhart.
No.
Councilmember Dickman.
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder.
Yes.
Councilmember Studley.
Yes.
Supervisor Leary.
Yes. Okay, resolution number 14 is mine. Whereas the town board has previously duly advertised an invitation to bid for the senior center partition wall project within the town of Lancaster, and whereas bidding was conducted in accordance with the Erie County Community Development Block Grant with no bids received for the project, and whereas as per the terms of the CDBG grant, with no bids being received, the town of Lancaster can proceed with a contractor of their choice, and whereas subsequently a quote from DV Brown was received with all required documentation, and whereas pursuant to General Municipal Law, Section 103, on the basis of best value, Edward Schiller, P.E., the town's consulting engineer, has recommended awarding the bid to DV Brown and Associates Incorporated, located at 567 Vickers Street, Tonawanda, New York, a registered contractor with New York State Department of Labor, Public Works contractor, and subcontractor registry in the amount of $174,513. And whereas the CDBG grant is for $150,000 with the balance of $24,513 to be paid out of the building's budget line 001-1620-260 other capital outlay. And whereas the town board of the town of Lancaster has previously adopted an operating budget for the 2025 fiscal year, and whereas the 2025 operating budget requires the following budget transfer to buildings budget line 001-1620-260 other capital outlay to allow for this expenditure. Transfer total for the $24,513. It's going from the contingency account contractual to the building's other capital outlay. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Lancaster hereby approves the quote for the senior center partition wall project to DV Brown and Associates Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $174,513, being the only quote in conformance with the specifications on file in the office of William Shutt and Associates. Be it further resolved that the town board of the town of Lancaster hereby approves and authorizes a budget transfer in the 2025 operating budget in the amount of $24,513 from the contingency account, contractual to buildings budget line, other capital outlay, and be it further resolved that the supervisor is authorized to execute the contract upon receipt and approval of the required documents and insurance certificates by the town attorney's office. Do we have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart.
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman.
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder.
Yes.
Councilmember Studley.
Yes.
Supervisor Leary.
Yes. Councilmember Studley, number 15 and 16, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Board. I offer Resolutions 15 and 16 for adoption. Whereas by letter dated June 30th, 2025, Carmen Ciccarelli, Maintenance Crew Chief, has recommended the appointment of the following individuals to the position of part-time temporary seasonal in the Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Department for the spring-summer season of 2025. Now therefore be it resolved that the following individuals are hereby appointed to the following part-time temporary seasonal positions in the Parks, Rec, and Forestry Department for a period not to exceed 5 months, and that these being part-time positions provide no health insurance, sick days, vacations, or other fringe benefits not specifically mandated for part-time temporary employees. And we have Liam Rottenstraut as a lifeguard for $17 an hour, and Casey Black, a rec attendant supervisor, for $18.50 an hour. Be it further resolved that this appointment is contingent upon successful completion of all pre-employment checks and appropriate paperwork filed with the Supervisor's Office, New York State required certifications, new hire training programs, and completion of town policy acknowledgements. Be it further resolved that the Supervisor of the Town of Lancaster shall be authorized to take all necessary action to implement the foregoing.
Do we have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder?
Yes.
Councilmember Studley?
Yes.
Supervisor Leary?
Yes.
And Resolution 16, whereas a resolution was passed on April 7th, 2025, extending the leave of absence of Bruce Stutz, Parks Crew Chief, for the Parks, Rec, and Forestry Department until June 7th, 2025, and whereas pursuant to New York State Civil Service Law, the leave of absence for Bruce Stutz has been extended to December 1st, 2025, and whereas the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster wishes to extend the leave of absence without pay for Bruce Stutz until December 1st, 2025, providing in total a 1-year leave of absence. Now therefore be it resolved that the leave of absence without pay is hereby extended for employee Bruce Stutz until December 1st, 2025.
Do we have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder?
Yes.
Councilmember Studley?
Yes.
Supervisor Leary?
Yes. Resolution number 17, whereas by email request, John Trojanowski, Executive Director for the Town of Lancaster Youth Bureau, has advised the Town Board that the Youth Bureau no longer has use for an Allen and Heath PA 282 24 mono 2 stereo mixer, 120 volt, serial number PA 28212014892, and has requested that the Town Board therefore deem this item to be surplus equipment. And whereas Dave Bondero from the Lancaster Opera House has expressed an interest in the purchase of the Allen and Heath stereo mixer, whereas per mutual agreement between the Town of Lancaster Youth Bureau and the Lancaster Opera House, they have agreed on a price of $1 for the above-mentioned stereo mixer, as the stereo mixer will continue to provide a benefit to the Town of Lancaster. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster hereby approves the sale of the Allen and Heath PA 282 stereo mixer to the Lancaster Opera House for the agreed-upon price of $1. Do I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Seems expensive, but yes.
Councilmember Schroeder?
Yes.
Councilmember Studley?
Yes.
Supervisor Leary?
Yes. Councilmember Burkhardt, number 18 through 20, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Board. I offer resolutions 18, 19, and 20 for adoption. Whereas due to a vacancy in the Lancaster Police Department, William Gummo, Chief of Police for the Town of Lancaster by letter dated June 30th, 2025, has recommended the appointment of Matthew J. Marshner of Lancaster, New York, to the position of police officer in the Town of Lancaster Police Department. And whereas Matthew Marshner is eligible for appointment to this position pursuant to the standards and procedures set forth in the New York State Civil Service Law. Now therefore be it resolved that Matthew J. Marshner is hereby appointed to the position of police officer in the Town of Lancaster Police Department effective July 28, 2025, contingent upon approval by Erie County Department of Personnel, and that such appointment shall be subject to all applicable provisions of the collective negotiations agreement between the Town of Lancaster and the Cayuga Club Police Benevolent Association, and all applicable provisions of law. And be it further resolved that Matthew J. Marshner of Lancaster, New York, is hereby appointed to the full-time position of police officer in the Town of Lancaster Police Department with 52-week probationary period. And be it further resolved that the supervisor of the Town of Lancaster shall be authorized to take all necessary action to implement the foregoing.
Yes.
Do we have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder?
Yes.
Councilmember Studley?
Yes.
Supervisor Leary?
Yes. Congratulations, Matthew. Welcome on board. We're going to ask you guys to all come up here for some photos at the end when we get done with the other two resolutions.
Resolution 19. Whereas due to a vacancy in the Lancaster Police Department, William Gummo, Chief of Police for the Town of Lancaster, by letter dated June 30th, 2025, has recommended the appointment of Ryan J. Cook of Lancaster, New York, to the position of police officer in the Town of Lancaster Police Department. And whereas Ryan J. Cook is eligible for appointment to this position pursuant to the standards and procedures set forth in the New York State Civil Service Law. Now therefore be it resolved that Ryan J. Cook is hereby appointed to the position of police officer in the Town of Lancaster Police Department effective July 28, 2025, contingent upon approval by Erie County Department of Personnel, and that such appointment shall be subject to all applicable provisions of the collective negotiations agreement between the Town of Lancaster and the Cayuga Club Police Lebanon Association and all applicable provisions of law. And be it further resolved that Ryan J. Cook of Lancaster, New York, is hereby appointed to the full-time position of police officer in the Town of Lancaster Police Department with a 52-week probationary period. And be it further resolved that the supervisor of the Town of Lancaster shall be authorized to take all necessary action to implement the foregoing.
Do we have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder?
Yes.
Councilmember Studley?
Yes.
Supervisor Leary?
Yes. Congratulations, Ryan.
Resolution 20. Whereas due to a vacancy on in the Lancaster Police Department, William Gummo, Chief of Police for the Town of Lancaster, by letter dated June 30th, 2025, has recommended the appointment of Maria N. Sirk of Lancaster, New York, to the position of police officer in the Town of Lancaster Police Department. And whereas Maria N. Sirk is eligible for appointment in this position pursuant to the standards and procedures set forth in the New York State Civil Service Law. Now therefore be it resolved, Maria N. Sirk is hereby appointed to the position of police officer in the Town of Lancaster Police Department effective July 28, 2025, contingent upon approval by Erie County Department of Personnel, that such appointment shall be subject to all applicable provisions of collective negotiations agreement between the Town of Lancaster and the Cayuga Club Police Benevolent Association and all applicable provisions of law. And be it further resolved that Maria Ann Sirk of Lancaster, New York, is hereby appointed to the full-time position of police officer in the Town of Lancaster Police Department with a 52-week probationary period. And be it further resolved that the supervisor of the Town of Lancaster shall be authorized to take all necessary action to implement the foregoing.
Do we have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder?
Yes.
Councilmember Studley?
Yes.
Supervisor Leary?
Yes. Congratulations, Maria. Okay, at this point, I'm gonna, stop what we're doing up here. If the officers could come up to the front, we're gonna get some pictures. If your family wants to take some pictures, that's great. One of the things when you get hired here, you have to take pictures with us. But so you know, I did a 26-and-a-half-year career in federal law enforcement. It was great to be out there serving the people, and we deeply respect your commitment and your choice to come to Lancaster to keep our residents safe. So thank you very much. Chief, could you bring them up? And we're going to let the attorney jump in there for a picture. Okay.
Now,
We're up here for pictures. Anybody got cameras? Want to take pictures? Congratulations.
I'm just gonna stand with it. I'm trying to get out of the picture.
All right, where are we going first? Feel free to move if you need to. Congratulations again. Stay safe out there, okay? Take care.
See ya.
I moved it.
Rearranging?
The meeting before the executive session, or they'll have to go back to my office tomorrow.
Okay. Hang on one second. To all our new officers to be, you're going to have to sign these oath cards right here. So you get the opportunity to come up and sign them at the end before we go into an executive session, or you're going to have to come back tomorrow. So I'd recommend you hang around and just get them signed tonight.
Yeah, we're almost done.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I'll read fast.
Okay, resolution number 21. Councilmember Dickman.
Thank you again, Mr. Supervisor. Honorable Board, I offer Resolution 21. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster does hereby grant the special use permit renewal to Jennifer Catita for a special use permit home occupation hair salon on the premise located at 510 Town Line Road, Lancaster, New York, upon the terms and conditions set forth the zoning ordinance for the period beginning July 20th, 2025, ending July 19th, 2027, and that the applicant will continue in compliance with the conditions set forth for home occupations, special use permits of the Code of the Town of Lancaster, and any additional conditions listed herein as long as the applicant continues to engage in this home occupation on the premise, namely, and it has the 5 original conditions.
Do we have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder?
Yes.
Councilmember Studley?
Yes.
Supervisor Leary?
Yes, we have one suspended resolution, number 22. I'm requesting suspension of the necessary rules for immediate consideration of the following resolution. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder?
Yes.
Councilmember Studley?
Yes.
Supervisor Leary?
Yes. Resolution reads, now therefore be resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster accepts the resignation of Lancaster Police Officer John LaPiana, effective July 7, 2025. Do I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder?
Yes.
Councilmember Studley?
Yes.
Supervisor Leary?
Yes. Okay, next thing we're going to do is the communications. Okay, 318, received and filed. 319, Planning and Zoning Committee. 320 and 321, received and filed. 322 to the Police Department. 323, Code Enforcement and Town Attorney. 324, Planning and Zoning. 325, received and filed. 326, resolution tonight. 327, Planning and Zoning Committee. 328, Planning and Zoning. 329, received and filed. 330, received and filed. 331, received and filed. 332, resolution tonight. 333, received and filed. 334, Code Enforcement. 335, Town Board. 336, resolution tonight. 337, 338, 339, and 340 were all resolutions tonight. 341, Planning and Zoning Committee. 342, resolution tonight. 343, received and filed. 344, received and filed. 345 for resolution, and 346 received and filed. At this point in time is where we come to the time in the meeting where anyone who wants to address the town board on any subject matter can do so. The rules are basically the same as what we had for the pre-filed and suspended resolutions. Please raise your hand, be recognized by the supervisor, give your name and address to the town clerk, speak directly to the town board members, not the audience, using the microphone provided. Speak once for 5 minutes or less unless the town board grants the speaker an extension of this time limit, and any unruly activity, including yelling or name-calling, will result in expulsion from the meeting. Do we have anybody who wants to address the town board on any subject matter? Yes, ma'am. And please give name and address to the town clerk.
Donna Cacciati, Pleasant View Drive,
The number on Pleasant View?
114.
114?
Yes. July 1st, 2024, I sent Chief Gummo an email regarding oversized vehicles driving on Pleasant View Drive. I mentioned he may hear blah, 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 but put it to the side. He mentioned he takes all his emails seriously. He said at that time they were having a CMV officer, and if the residents would be patient. Fast forward 53 weeks, and still nothing done. Just curious how many tickets have been issued in the last year. I have sent 2 other emails with no responses as well. In May of 2020, the former Chief Carney mentioned in the Lancaster Sun that he doesn't want to say people exaggerate, but it's not as bad as it seems. Apparently, he never drove down our street. Fast forward 5 years, and it's only worse. The electric cars, tree services, beer trucks, Amazon tow trucks, etc., fly down on our street, Stony Road and Central Avenue. There is signage, yet they ignore because they know there is no police presence. I've seen where police have been in front or behind an oversized vehicle and nothing has ever been done. According to Erie County Legislator Todaro, he had put in last year, my office has heard from many people who live on residential roads in the town of Lancaster about high volume of commercial traffic through their neighborhoods. I contacted the town and signage will now be going up on the following designated truck routes. I am relieved that the town and county worked together on this project, and I brought the issues forward. I understand this truck traffic has been a nuisance for many homeowners, and I hope these new routes will alleviate their concerns. The safety people in our community always come first. Well, it still hasn't. And yet, still heavy oversized vehicle traffic. I suggested to County Executive Cotaro about stop signs in designated areas to reduce CMVs, and yet nothing has ever been done, as it keeps saying he will look into it. It's been a few years now. Again, since no police presence, the CMVs will continue to come down Pleasant View Drive, Central Avenue, and Stony Road to avoid taking the truck routes, as they will never get caught. Hoping this time Lancaster listens.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else want to address the town board on any subject matter? Please raise your hand. Okay, seeing no other hands raised, we're going to have to go into executive session. So I'm going to make a motion to go into executive session. Do I have a motion?
I'll make.
Yeah, okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder?
Yes.
Councilmember Studley?
Yes.
Supervisor Leary?
Yes.
Have to decide when it takes before we go in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so you guys can come up and sign your oaths right up here with the town clerk. Police officers, thank you.
See you.